Simon, a lot of people have gone with you, saying this is unjust that Otto Wallin has been done out of his opportunity to fight Dillian Whyte. Not just now, Simon, because if Whyte is injured, sure, obviously, we go with the fact that he couldn't fight this Saturday night. But further down the line.
Yeah, I mean, look, things now is about outrageous fortune. It's timing. It's an issue. I mean, Otto Wallin isn't a great fighter, but he's entitled to a fight that he's trained for.
Yeah.
And if there's genuity, if Fury versus the WBC mandatory wasn't available in March, this fight would be happening. They'd reschedule. But because it is, he's a casualty of that. Yeah. And that's all right if you're all right, Jack.
Yes.
And if Eddie wants to be cocky and clever about it and say, I'm all right, Jack, there'll come a time when the boot's on the other foot for Eddie. And you've got to balance things off. I understand where Wilder is, where Whyte is in this fight, and why he might not necessarily want to reschedule it. But where does it leave Wallin? I suppose you pay your money, you take your choice. You know, if you go into a fight, people pull out of fights. It's the bad. And what he's upset about is if I beat, he will be looking at it and go, if I beat Whyte, I'm fighting Fury.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's a big
and I'm never going to get the opportunity again, possibly.
Well, Spencer, that's
a massive jump of the queue. That's exactly what it is.
Absolutely spot on. And as we heard earlier on from Dmitry Salita, who is Wallin's manager over in Florida, late last night, he was telling me he was on his way here when he found out it was off. Listen to this.
Several weeks ago, when the WBC announced that the winner or the WBC interim champion is going to fight the winner of Fury and Wilder, a couple of days went by, and a few friends of mine sent me a quote from Dillian Whyte, and it said, I could pull out of the Wallin fight just to fight Fury, but that isn't my mindset. I can't wait around for what Fury is doing. So with that quote, obviously, we were a little bit concerned about what was happening, and then literally the day that Otto was supposed to go to the airport, we found out that Dillian Whyte got injured, and then a couple of days after that, we found out that the fight was canceled. So, Otto put in a tremendous amount of work to get himself in shape. He spent a tremendous amount of money. It was such a difficult time just to make sure that everything is right for this fight. And Otto, the fighter that he is, put in a tremendous amount of work to make sure that he gives the boxing fans his best self, going to Dillian Whyte's hometown. And, and then the fight doesn't happen and it's not rescheduled. Certainly incredibly disappointing and crushing to Otto and to his career. Otto was coming to win. He was coming to give his best to boxing fans. And a great, truly 50-50 fight that boxing fans were looking forward to. And, we feel that the winner of that fight really deserved the shot to fight Tyson Fury because the winner of that fight would be arguably the second, third best heavyweight in the world, objectively.
Whyte says he was injured. Do you believe that?
Fighters get injured during training camp. That's certainly part of boxing. It's been my experience, heavyweights usually leading up to the fight decrease their amount of training because they don't have to make weight. They put forth a hard training camp, and about 10 days or so before the fight, they start tuning things down to get their strength back to be able to perform the night of the fight. So the fact that Dillian Whyte got this injury so close to the fight, is unusual. But as I said before, injuries happen during training. We would like to kind of see what that injury is. Maybe Dillian Whyte is not healthy to fight Tyson Fury in February or January or March or whenever the fight is scheduled. I'll tell you this. If Otto was injured, if there was something wrong with Otto would present that right away. And, when you don't show up to school, for example, the teacher says, can I please see a doctor's note? You didn't make it to school for 2 days. Can I see a doctor's note? So that's all we want.
Spencer, it is very hard, well nigh impossible to argue with any of that.
No, absolutely, you can't argue with it. You've got to feel sorry for Otto Wallin. That he was given the opportunity and then it was taken away from him. I mean, that's frustrating, But in between that, he's gone through the training camp, he's got himself ready, etc., and there's been so many moving parts. Dillian Whyte, unfortunately, he's been injured, so close to the fight, but now he sees it. He doesn't want to reschedule the fight for Wallin. He wants to go straight into the Fury fight, which leaves Otto Wallin nowhere. So I think that Eddie Hearn was talking about there, and when you spoke to him and he was having that conversation with you, Simon, he was talking about, Wallin, we'll put him on the card, we'll give him a fight against another one of our heavyweights. Trouble with Otto Wallin is, anybody that knows him, one, he's a southpaw, two, he's really dangerous, as Tyson Fury found out when he picked up the 47 stitches over his eye.
Oh yeah, that was him, wasn't it?
That was him. Yeah. And he was the guy that pushed Tyson Fury all the way. So all of a sudden, he's come from, who's this, like people moaning about Dillian Whyte when he took that fight, who's this Otto Wallin? What's he all about? All of a sudden, he pushes Tyson Fury to the wire in a fight that should have been stopped, really, with how bad that cut was. And that happened early in the fight. So now all of a sudden he becomes a sort of a chairman of the who needs him, who wants him club. You'll only fight him if you have to. And all of a sudden, Dillian Whyte's decided to fight him, and you think, wow, that's high risk, low reward. And then
let's be fair. We all in this room care about Dillian Whyte's progress, not Otto Wallin's, because we're all wanting to see Dillian Whyte progress because we're British, right? But the fact of the matter is, Otto Wallin's been given a lottery ticket and someone's told him that the expiry date's gone out. He had a shot at the world title as well because he can see his future. He can see, if I beat Whyte, I get a world title shot.
Absolutely.
So all of a sudden, hang on, Otto Wallin, we don't need you anymore. You were okay for this, but you're not okay for that. Out you go. And in goes Dillian Whyte with his opportunity. And then why he's a bit peed off.
Well, then you ask yourself the question, where does it then leave Wallin? Because there's a queue of other fighters. We've got Joe Joyce's WBO number one, Dillian Whyte's WBC number one.
Spencer, he's not going to get his chance. We heard from Eddie that Dillian Whyte's going to be there on Saturday night at the O2. I heard last night that Wallin just might be there as well.
Interesting.
So the two can maybe have a chat.
A chinwag, yes.
A chinwag away from the ring.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.